Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex info, find the surprising facts, and we'll help you get well informed fast. Today, we're plunging into a digital landscape that's just exploding. It shapes everything, really, from brand loyalty right through to social movements. So, our mission for this deep dive is exploring the advocacy and engagement software market. We're going to guide you through how it's doing right now, its performance, and where it's projected to go, looking all the way out to 2033. And we're pulling the latest official figures for this from a big report by Cognitive Market Research. So think about it if you've ever used a brand loyalty program, maybe signed an online petition or, joined some kind of digital community around a cause you care about, you've probably already interacted with this market somehow. We're going to uncover the sheer financial scale, yes, but also the impressive growth trends behind it all.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how these numbers, they actually mirror a much bigger societal shift. We're seeing this global move towards more direct digital interaction, community building online.
Yeah.
We'll break down those big global figures first, then we'll kind of zoom into the regions, show you not just what the growth is, but crucially where it's really taking off, and maybe touch on why.
Okay, good plan. Let's unpack that global picture first then. So this whole market, the software that helps organizations connect and, well, mobilize people, it was already pretty substantial back in 2021. Generated over $500 million in revenue. The exact figure was 508.847 million. Let's call it about 509 million. Okay, now fast forward just a few years to 2025. That number expected to jump to about 617 million. But here's where it gets really interesting. By 2033, the market is projected to hit almost $909 million. 908.92 million to be precise.
Wow. Yeah, nearly 909 million. That's almost doubling the revenue in what, just over a decade?
Exactly. It's pretty remarkable growth.
And if you look at the trend behind that, the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, it translates to nearly 5%, 4.953% to be exact. Now, that's a strong, really consistent upward trend over more than 10 years. It tells you there's sustained, maybe even accelerating demand for these kinds of software solutions all around the world. Businesses, nonprofits, even political campaigns, they're all seeing how vital this direct digital audience engagement really is. It's becoming indispensable.
That is a powerful global trajectory. Okay, so let's narrow it down a bit. Let's start with North America. It's always been a major player here. Back in 2021, the region brought in roughly $183 million, $182.676 million, and the projections show it climbing steadily. It's expected to reach over $309 million by 2033. That comes out to a CR of about 4.5%, 4.48% actually. And digging into North America, the U.S. was, well, no surprise, the dominant force, accounted for about $153 million of that $183 million back in 2021. And it's projected to hit over $255 million by 2033. That's a CRGR around 4.4%. Solid growth.
Solid. But it's interesting, right? When you look at Canada and Mexico, too, Canada, for instance, actually shows stronger growth than the U.S. in terms of rate. Its CAGR is over 5.2%. It's forecast to grow from around 18.6 million in 2021 to over 34 million by 2033.
Over 5%. Wow.
Yeah, and Mexico is showing healthy expansion, too, projected to almost double, really, from about 10.8 million in 2021 up to nearly 19 million by 2033. CAGR 4.7% there. So this consistent growth across all of North America, it suggests, a mature digital market, one that's definitely still expanding. It seems like advocacy and engagement tools are just becoming more integrated into, well, everyday online life there.
Okay, so from North America's established base, let's pivot over to Europe. What's kind of intriguing there is, well, it's a slightly different digital landscape, isn't it? Maybe influenced by different regulations, varying digital adoption curves across countries. It's shaping its own strong trajectory, though maybe distinct, but strong. Europe's market was about $112.5 million in 2021, and it's expected to reach nearly $190 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.5%, similar to North America overall. Right, let's break down Europe a bit. Germany really stands out. It has a strong CAGR over 5.2%. That's quite high for the region. Set to grow from about 22 million in 2021 to over 40 million by 2033. The UK also shows solid expansion, projected to reach over 26.7 million by 2033, up from about 15 million in 2021. CAGR around 4.8, 4.9%.
And France, well, it's on a slightly more modest upward path, maybe, reaching about 25 million by 2033 from just under 16 million in 2021. But then you have other key players like Italy, Russia, Spain. They're also showing steady progress. Italy projected around 19.6 million by 2033. Russia nearly 9.1 million, Spain almost 15 million. What this really highlights, I think, is the varied pace across Europe. Different economies, different digital adoption patterns, maybe even, like you said, cultural attitudes towards online communities or data privacy. It's definitely not just one uniform story over there. It's more like a complex tapestry of digital transformation.
Right, a tapestry. I like that. Okay, now Asia Pacific. This is where, as you hinted, we see some really explosive growth. The market there was valued at about 151, $152 million in 2021, but it's projected to nearly double to an impressive 295 million by 2033, and it boasts the highest regional CGR of them, all over 5.7%, 5.725% to be exact.
Hmm.
So what is driving this phenomenal surge over there?
That is the big question, isn't it? Asia Pacific truly is the growth engine in this report. And it seems to be, well, a mix of things. The report suggests it's this fascinating interplay. You've got rapidly expanding internet access, especially mobile-first economies, think smartphones everywhere. And then there's a surge in digital native businesses, plus a real rise in civic engagement online. China, for instance, is leading the charge, a strong CAGR over 5.9%. It's forecast to almost double its market size, from 50 million in 2021 to over 99 million by 2033.
Huge.
Huge. Japan also contributes significantly, expected to reach over 43 million by 2033.
But okay, drilling down even further, if we look for the single fastest growing country in this whole market analysis,
Right.
India takes the crown, right? An outstanding CAGR of nearly 6.7%. 6.679% is forecasted to more than double, rising from about 18.6 million in 2021 to over 40 million in 2033. That kind of speed is just incredible.
It really is incredible. And that surge in India, it just perfectly underscores the increasing digital engagement and, well, the need for advocacy tools
Yeah.
in these big emerging economies. You're seeing this massive wave of first-time internet users, mostly coming online via smartphones, and they're adopting digital tools super quickly for everything, E-commerce loyalty, yes, but also for joining online social movements, political discussions. It's a classic example of technology kind of leapfrogging the older ways of doing things.
Leapfrogging.
And the report also points to strong growth across the board in the region: South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, Southeast Asia generally, all contributing to this really dynamic story.
Okay, fascinating stuff in Asia Pacific. Let's move south now, South America. The market there shows pretty robust growth too, even though the overall size is smaller. It stood at about $26 million in 2021, and it's estimated to grow to over 48 million by 2033. That's a solid CAGR of over 5.3%. Brazil remains the biggest player there, increasing from about 9.5 million in 2021 to over 17.5 million projected for 2033.
Indeed. And other countries like Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, they're also showing healthy growth rates, generally around that 5.5% mark, actually, which, again, just highlights how this need for advocacy and engagement tools, it's truly global now. It's finding fertile ground even in markets maybe earlier on their digital transformation path. They see the benefits clearly, reaching customers, mobilizing communities online.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what about the Middle East? The market there generated about 21.4 million in 2021, set to grow to over 39 million by 2033. That reflects a KGR of about 5.1, 5.2%. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are leading the region there with strong projected values for 2033. Around 9.3 million for Saudi Arabia and 7.7 million for the UAE. And lastly, Africa. The market came in at about 14.7, nearly $15 million in 2021. Expected to rise to nearly 27 million by 2033. So growing at a KGR of about 4.4, 4.5%. Key markets mentioned are Nigeria, South Africa, and then the rest of Africa category.
And what's really compelling, I think, about these emerging markets, South America, the Middle East, and Africa, is that, yes, their current market sizes are smaller compared to, say, North America or Asia, but their growth rates are remarkably competitive. In some cases, even higher than some bits of the more established markets we talked about.
Right.
It just suggests there's significant untapped potential there, and probably strong acceleration to come as digital infrastructure, smartphone use continues to expand rapidly across these regions. It's a powerful sign, really, of the global reach and, frankly, the necessity of these engagement platforms now.
So putting it all together then, what does this all mean? We go from a global revenue figure, just over $500 million in 2021, to approaching $1 billion by 2033. It's just abundantly clear, isn't it? The advocacy and engagement software market is on this significant, really undeniable upward path.
Absolutely. And if we step back again just to consider the bigger picture, these figures, they aren't just about software sales, are they? They reflect this fundamental ongoing shift in how Well, everyone connects. Organizations, businesses, even individuals, how we mobilize, how we drive action in this digital age we're all in.
Yeah.
The growing value of this market, it just underscores how important direct audience engagement and building online communities have become in almost every single sector.
Yeah, from consumer brands trying to build loyalty to nonprofits rallying support to political movements organizing. It's everywhere.
Exactly.
And those specific country and regional growth rates we talked about,
Right.
especially that rapid expansion in places like India and China, they tell us a lot about where the future of digital interaction is really heading, don't they? It highlights the sheer power of this software to amplify voices and organize people, organize collective efforts on a massive, even global scale.
It really does. Which sort of leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to consider. As this market keeps growing so robustly, how might this kind of software advocacy and engagement software, how might it not just reshape, but maybe fundamentally transform the way we interact? With brands? Sure. But also how we participate in social causes, maybe even how we influence political landscapes over the next decade. What new forms of digital connection, things we perhaps can't even imagine yet, might emerge from this ever-expanding ecosystem? And, how will that ultimately impact our daily lives? Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights that, well, really matter. Today, we're diving into the world of advocacy and engagement software. It's dynamic, it's evolving fast. We've been digging through a pretty hefty market research report, and our mission really is to pull out the key nuggets for you. We want to uncover what's driving its growth, what's holding it back, and the exciting trends shaping its future. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's a great topic and really significant too.
Why so significant?
Because it represents this fundamental shift.
Here.
It's about how companies are really learning to leverage people,
People meaning?
meaning everyone, their own employees, sure, but also customers, partners, even, those really dedicated brand loyalists.
Right, so not just broadcasting ads.
Exactly. They're becoming these powerful brand amplifiers. And the report, it stresses this isn't just tech changing, it's profoundly transforming how trust and reach get built now in today's digital landscape.
Trust is key.
Totally.
Yeah.
It often boils down to that simple truth. People trust other people, not just faceless brands.
Precisely. And the report really highlights one massive driver here, the focus on employee advocacy. Think about it, turning your own employees into, well, genuine brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
There's this surprising stat in the report. Employee shares, they can drive like 8 times more engagement than brand shares. Creates a real ripple effect, doesn't it? Goes deeper than traditional marketing.
It really does. And this is exactly where the software becomes, indispensable. Advocacy software makes this whole thing feasible. It streamlines getting content out there, makes sure it's compliant with brand guidelines, which is absolutely critical, especially in regulated sectors,
Right.
and gives you solid analytics on campaigns. And these aren't just, basic tools. We're talking AI-driven content analysis sometimes, custom approval flows. It turns what was maybe a messy, risky effort into something cohesive, compliant, and measurable. It really boosts that organic visibility.
Okay, so empowering internal teams, that's clearly huge.
Yeah.
But the report also points to an external need, right? The push for better community engagement platforms.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it seems like businesses everywhere, B2B, B2C, they're looking for these central places for meaningful communication. It's not just about shouting anymore.
Not at all. You're spot on. The report really underscores how this software helps with targeted engagement. It helps cultivate, digital ambassadorship, builds structured ways to get feedback.
And that builds loyalty.
Exactly. These features are key for building lasting brand loyalty, getting good referrals, and just nurturing large online communities with steady, valuable interactions, like being able to segment your community and push really personalized stuff that boosts response rates, makes people feel they belong. It's about dialogue.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think, especially considering today's climate. The report points to this increasing pressure around regulations and managing reputation risks. Legal oversight on branded content is getting stricter, isn't it?
It really is. And that's why advocacy software now builds in essential features like advanced approval workflows.
Okay.
Dynamic content guidelines, real-time monitoring tools, these are vital. They help businesses dodge legal issues and keep their brand image intact. Super important when employees or partners are out there promoting your stuff publicly.
Makes sense.
And the tech's getting smarter too, not just keyword scanning, but using natural language processing to catch subtle compliance risks. It cuts down the exposure significantly. Now, look, while there's loads of growth, the market does face some pretty big challenges. One that the report really flags is the slow uptake by smaller businesses, SMEs.
Ah, okay. Why is that?
Well, they often see this software as a luxury, maybe too complex, maybe too pricey. So, a big chunk of the market, they're still doing things manually or just ad hoc, missing out on the efficiency.
And what does that mean for the market overall? Are the benefits just stuck with the big players?
Pretty much, yeah. It definitely slows down broader market penetration, keeps these powerful tools mainly in the hands of larger companies with the budgets and IT teams.
Right.
So a huge group of potential users just isn't benefiting yet. Then there's the second challenge, and it's kind of a paradox. Content oversaturation, engagement exhaustion.
Your audience fatigue.
Exactly. Just the sheer volume of branded stuff out there, people get tired of it. And if the content gets repetitive, or isn't personal, ignored, or worse, feels like spam. Actually, the report found something counterintuitive here
Oh, yeah.
in this content overload. More diverse content from more authentic voices actually cuts through better than one polished brand message. It's about distributed authenticity.
That's a really crucial point. So given that fatigue, how do companies keep their advocacy, fresh, targeted,
Yeah.
impactful? How do they make sure it actually works and gives ROI when everyone's shouting for attention?
It forces them to strike a balance, a really careful one. They've got to focus on quality, diverse content that's genuinely useful to the audience and let advocates personalize it.
Okay.
But honestly, the biggest hurdle for many is often technical. Because the third big roadblock the report highlights is integrating these new platforms with old systems, legacy systems.
Ah, the integration nightmare.
Totally. Lots of companies have older CRM or marketing tools that just don't play nice with modern cloud-based advocacy platforms.
So you get data stuck in silos.
Exactly. Siloed data, inconsistent reports, workflows that are just clunky. It's often about API limits or data formats not matching up. It can mean expensive custom fixes that just eat into the ROI.
And probably puts teams off using it too.
Right. Lowers adoption, reduces the benefits. It's a real technical puzzle they need to solve. This raises an important question, doesn't it, about how you actually overcome those technical hurdles.
That's a solid look at the challenges.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears and look ahead. The future does seem bright here. Talk to me about one of the big game changers, AI for advocate recommendations.
Right, AI is huge here. A key thing is how it helps find your best advocates. It crunches data on past engagement, content performance, network influence, all that stuff.
Okay.
Then it intelligently matches the right advocates with the right campaigns. It can even predict how likely the audience is to engage.
Wow. So it's smarter targeting.
Much smarter. It ensures content gets seen by the right people at the right time from the right voices. It's way beyond guesswork. Maximizes impact, ensures authentic reach. What's fascinating here is the potential for hyper-personalization at scale.
And alongside that, you mentioned mobile-first tools surging. That feels critical, right?
Right.
Especially with so much remote and hybrid work.
Absolutely critical. You can't ignore mobile.
So what does that look like in practice, but beyond just having an app?
Well, specific features really make a difference. Things like push notifications for new content. Gamification is big, users earning points or badges for sharing. Makes it more engaging, a bit competitive even.
Keeps people involved.
Exactly. Plus real-time tracking, one-click approvals. It all makes advocacy more interactive, more spontaneous, accessible wherever people are. That drives much higher engagement across devices, across different locations, fits advocacy into their day rather than being a chore.
And moving beyond the tech features, the report mentioned a strategic shift, too, towards a multi-stakeholder approach, not just employees anymore.
Yes, that's a really important evolution.
What does that wider scope mean for brands?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means advocacy programs are bringing in a much wider group now. You've got customers, partners, micro-influencers, even those really passionate brand fans.
Ah, So a whole ecosystem.
Precisely. And the platforms are getting sophisticated enough to manage that, multi-channel outreach, monitoring content everywhere, actually measuring the impact from all these different groups.
So it boosts reach, obviously.
Dramatically enhances reach, yeah. But it also deepens community trust and engagement. You're building a much more robust, authentic network of champions.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, it's really clear the advocacy and engagement software market is buzzing. Lots of innovation, lots of opportunity, from empowering employees internally to AI automation and building these broader communities of influence. It's a really dynamic space.
It absolutely is. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. As advocacy keeps expanding, bringing in all these diverse stakeholders and using AI to find and reach them, how will organizations navigate that tricky balance, the balance between, authentic individual voices and coordinated brand messaging? How do they maintain genuine trust in what's becoming an ever noisier digital world?